curves, like the total product curve, which is a convex curve, because as you add up more labors, diminishing marginal returns occur, and that is why additional output falls per labor. We also saw the marginal product and the marginal product curve. We saw the average product curve. Now, what we're going to do is we are now going to move on to the cost side. Okay, so basically, what is a cost? So costs are basically the expenses that are incurred by farms in the process of production. So কোনো একটা business আছে, কোনো একটা producer is selling something, for him the cost will be his operating cost of setting up a business, running machines, hiring workers, all of that. Okay, so we are going to see two different time frames, and for that the cost will vary. So we are going to see short run costs, and we are also going to see long run costs. Okay, so short run costs are basically there are three type of costs: total cost, marginal cost, and average cost. Okay, now if you guys remember, this is a very easy topic. Okay, so if to যদি তোমরা attentive থাকো, I think that shouldn't be much difficult for you to understand this. Okay. So if you remember, when we discussed short run, I mentioned that in the short run, some of the factors remain fixed. So we cannot change, for instance, the plant size, the machine numbers, or the place where the production takes place. These are all fixed and constant in the short run. So in the short run, the only variable factor is labor. And if you are, as an entrepreneur, if you want to expand your business, the only way for you to do that in the short run is by increasing your number of laborers. Okay. Likewise, in the short run, the costs will be incurred through the cost of hiring worker. That is the only cost, because short run আমার কোনো capital change নেই, কোনো machine change নেই, কোনো place change নেই, কোনো replacement নেই. That is why the only cost that is associated with the short run is called the cost of labor. Okay, so we are going to see three different costs associated with labor: total cost, marginal cost, and average cost. খুবই easy, আগের মতোই. So total cost হচ্ছে can be divided into two parts. Okay, total fixed cost and total variable cost. So the total cost is thus, as you can see, equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Now, what are the fixed costs? So fixed costs are basically the costs that are incurred regardless of the farm's output. So farm একটা business যতই produce করুক না কেন, কম or বেশি, there are some costs that remain fixed. Okay, say for example, if you think of Bragg University, right? So Bragg University যখন আমরা আগে মহাখালী ক্যাম্পাসে ছিলাম, so Bragg University, no matter how many students were enrolled, how many faculties were paid off, there's one single thing that remained fixed for Bragg University, was the rent of the buildings, right? So আজকে like you must have seen this. So কোনো class there are 20 students, and then in some other classes there are 40 students. I usually have a full class of 45 students. So although the number of students vary from class to class, the rent for each of the building or each of the classroom is actually fixed. At the end of the month, Bragg needs to pay its rent regardless of its number of students or regardless of its number of faculties employed. So basically, the fixed cost হচ্ছে the costs that are fixed and that doesn't vary with the input. So আজকে যত input বাড়ানো হোক না কেন, if the costs are fixed, we call them fixed costs. As opposed to that, we have variable cost that changes with output. So তুমি যত, say for example, Bragg যত বেশি students enroll করছে, they will need more faculties to take classes. So the number of students increases, the number of faculties higher. So এখানে কি হচ্ছে, the number of faculties are actually variable cost for Bragg University. কেন? Because number of students যত বেড়ে যাচ্ছে, number of faculties are increasing proportional. So that is why it is called variable cost. All right. Now moving on. So remember this. So total cost is equals to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. In your exam, you can be given total cost and total fixed cost, and then you will be asked to find out the total variable cost. Okay? So you should simply use this equation to find out the total cost. That's how easy it's going to be. Okay. So graphically, as you can see in the table, this is the number of labors, and this we are looking at a jumper factory that produces this many jumpers, hiring this amount of laborers. Okay. So total fixed cost, as you will see in the third column, is actually fixed, $25, regardless of the number of outputs produced. So এই fixed cost হতে পারে ওই ফ্যাক্টরিতে রেন্ট হতে পারে ওই ফ্যাক্টরি কোন একটা মেশিন রেন্ট করতে পারে। So anything that actually remains fixed regardless of the output is the fixed cost. Okay. So it doesn't vary. However, if you look at the total variable cost actually increases with the number of labors as the number of labors increase. So first labor যখন labor একটা তখন আমাদের variable cost হচ্ছে 25. If you hire 2 labors, the variable cost is 50. And this goes on as we hire more workers, the total variable cost increases. Can any of you tell me what is the per unit labor cost here? Value
25.
cost labor
25.
25, right? Because as you are increasing number of labors, total variable cost increases by 25. Okay. Total cost, the last column is the addition of the total cost, variable cost, and total fixed cost. So that can be found by simply adding these two. On my right hand side, you can see the total cost curve, which is the blue line. Okay. So as this is a sum of total fixed cost or total variable cost. Actually, remember this total fixed cost is always going to be horizontal to x-axis. So it's always going to be a horizontal total fixed cost because as you can see, it doesn't vary with the number of output. However, total variable cost varies, and if you're not producing any bit of output, you do not incur any variable cost. So কোনো jumper produce হচ্ছে না, that is why কোনো labor hire করা হচ্ছে না, so variable cost is zero. All the variable cost is zero here, the total cost is 25. Why? Simply because although the variable cost is zero, we still have some fixed
We
cost
still have
incurred.
total fixed costs.
Right, that increases the total cost to 25. Okay. So graphically, if you add these two together, that's going to give you the total cost curve. So again, in your exam, you can be given a table where you will be given fixed cost and you will be given per unit labor cost. Okay, then you will be asked
ম্যাম
to find out. Yes,
লেবার যখন ম্যাম 1 তখন তো হচ্ছে টোটাল কস্ট 25, এখানে টোটাল কস্ট 50 হওয়ার কথা না?
এখানে total cost 50 হবে, right? এখানে একটা mistake আছে, that should be 50. Very good. Yeah, that should be 50. So, in your exam, you will be given information like the total fixed cost is this, the per unit labor is this, find out the total variable cost, find out the total cost or total cost. So you simply follow the formulas and find out the cost. Okay. And then you will also be asked to draw the cards. So using the values here, you are simply gonna find out. You're going to use these and these values to find and this to reciprocate them in a graph. Okay. This is in chapter থেকে mainly theoretical questions are very rare to see in the finals. So mostly electrical maths or like numerical questions have to be given data and you will be asked to find out the parameters. Okay, so make sure you know how to do them. Okay, moving on to marginal cost. Marginal cost is basically We have seen that in the marginal product concept, that is, and marginal cost is marginal in any general case means an extra. So marginal cost means the change in total cost resulting in from a 1 unit increase in output. So if you are increasing your number of output from 1 to 2, how much does your cost increases by that? Okay, that is called the marginal cost. So by formula, marginal cost is equals to change in total cost divided by change in quantity. Okay, now if I take you to the, I think I have a table. Yeah, table here. So this is the number of labor, this is the output, right? And this is the cost. So marginal cost, as I've just mentioned, it is change in total cost divided by change in output here or quantity. So say for example, if you are moving from 0 to if you're moving from 0 to 4 output, the change in output is 4, right? And with the change in total cost, change in total cost is 50 minus 25, which is 25. So the marginal cost here is 6.25. Likewise, the rest of the marginal costs are found. So for example, if you are moving from 13 to 15 units, so change in output is 2, change in cost is 25. So marginal cost is 25 divided by 2, which is equals to 12.5. A very, very important maths. So make sure you know how to find them. Okay?
সো মিস যে কোয়ান্টিটিটা যেটা ওটা বেসিক্যালি কোয়ান্টিটি অফ আউটপুট।
Output.
ওকে।
Quantity of output produced. Okay. Now, if we try to plot this,
পরীক্ষায়
বলো।
কোয়ান্টিটি কি দেওয়া থাকবে পরীক্ষার মধ্যে?
হ্যাঁ, quantity তো দেয়া থাকবে, না হলে কিভাবে বের করবে? Like at least 2 of the parameters will be given so that you can find out the third one using the
কিন্তু
formula.
এই চার্টে কোয়ান্টিটি কোনটা এখানে?
Output.
আউটপুট। ওকে ম্যাম।
The second column.
ম্যাম কোয়ান্টিটি 13 to 15 এর ওই জায়গাটা একটু আরেকবার বলবেন?
So if the farm is producing from 13 to 15, আগে 13 টা প্রডিউস করছিল, এখন 15, তাহলে চেঞ্জ ইন আউটপুট কত? 2, right?
Yes ma'am.
And what is the change in cost? 125 minus 100, which is 25. So marginal cost is 80. Total cost, change in total cost divided by change in quantity, which is 25 by 2, which is 4.5.
Okay ma'am.
Now, if you closely look at this marginal cost parameters, right? I will see that the marginal cost actually has a trend into it. Starts declining first and then it starts increasing after a while. So we try to plot the curve. Okay, so we put output here and we put cost here for the y-axis, and we try to plug in the value. Then we shall see that the marginal cost would look something. So to take a rise code and then it starts declining, and after a while it starts increasing again, like this. So the marginal cost curve will be an U-shaped marginal cost curve. because after a while, the marginal cost, after falling for a while, the marginal cost is going to increase after a certain level. And this occurs again due to diminishing marginal returns. Remember, we talked about that earlier when we were looking at marginal product, that the marginal product of additional worker reduces as we keep on hiring more workers because of space limitation, because of some workers will not be fully productive. Likewise, if you are hiring more workers and if they are not able to uh, bring you more output at the end of the day, hiring additional worker is going to be more expensive for you because of diminishing marginal returns. And that is why the marginal cost curve is an inverted U-shape marginal and U-shaped marginal cost curve. Okay, so in your exam, if you are asked to explain why marginal cost curve is an U-shaped marginal cost curve, you should say because of diminishing returns, which states that as we hire additional worker, they produces a successively smaller addition of output. This is why marginal cost are used. So basically, the reason is actually same um, as why we have an inverted U-shaped marginal product curve. The reason is exactly same for having a U-shaped marginal cost curve. যেহেতু marginal product কমে যাচ্ছে তার মানে হচ্ছে if you hire more workers, they are going to bring less product for you. So hiring workers are going to be more expensive because of diminishing returns. Okay, so 2-3 মার্কের এরকম small question থাকতে পারে। Okay, moving on to the average cost. Okay, so average cost খুবই easy. We have to find the average of any variable, the total divided by the total quantity, right? So average cost is exactly the same, the total cost divided by the total output. Now that the total cost has two parts, fixed cost and variable cost, average cost will also have two parts, average fixed cost and average variable. Average fixed cost হচ্ছে total fixed cost divided by total output. Average variable cost হচ্ছে total variable cost একটু আগে যেটা দেখলাম divided by output. আর average full cost হচ্ছে average fixed cost plus average variable cost. Let's see a numerical example. So here on this table again, we can see that seventh column, we can see the average fixed cost. Okay, fixed cost কোথায় ছিল আমাদের? This is the fixed cost. Okay, total fixed cost. So average fixed cost, this one is actually so average fixed cost is actually equal to total fixed cost divided by total output. So total fixed cost is in column number 3 and total output is in column number 2. So basically we are going to divide column number 3 by column number 2. So in the first case, the total fixed cost is 25, right? Output is 0. So 25 divided by 0 is undefined. Okay, so you should put a bar here, not 0. Moving on, For the first level, the total fixed cost is 25. The output is 4, so the average fixed cost is 25 by 4, which is equals to 6.24. And this goes on for the rest of the calculations. Am I clear?
জি মিস।
These are very simple, right? Let's see the average variable cost. Average
সেখানে
variable cost, হ্যাঁ বলো।
এখানে কি মানে গ্রাফগুলোই অত ইম্পর্টেন্ট হবে এই চ্যাপ্টারে? লাইক
Graphs and calculations.
mostly graphs and calculations.
Average variable cost হচ্ছে total variable cost divided by total output,
Output.
right? So basically you are going to divide column number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, column number 4 with column number 2. That should give you the average variable cost. Say, use them. Say for instance, at output level 2, the output is 10, the total variable cost is 50, average variable cost is 50 divided by 10, which is equals to 5. So we get 5 here, 50 by 10. Likewise, at output level 16, the average variable cost is 125. So we get 7.81 by dividing 125 by 60. Okay. Now this one thing, if you're asked to find out average total cost, there are two ways of doing so. একটা হচ্ছে you can simply add up average fixed cost and average variable cost. That should give you the average total cost. There's another harder way of doing so is simply by dividing the total cost by the total output. That would also give you the average cost. Okay, but I think adding the fixed and variable cost is easier, so you can follow that too. Question আছে কারো? হ্যাঁ. So if you look at the average fixed cost reduces ambiguously, right? So 6, then 2, then 1.92, it decreases along the way as more output are produced. The reason is, remember, we have a fixed cost that remains fixed regardless of the output, and that is why তুমি যত বেশি produce করবে, your fixed cost gets divided across all the output that you are producing. Say আজকে ওই যেটা বললাম, Bragg has 20 students in a class as opposed to having a 40 student in a class. So no matter whether there are 20 students or there are 40 students in a class, the rent that Bragg had to pay is actually same, say 50,000 taka a month, right? সেখানে কি হচ্ছে? So 20 students এর জন্য 50,000 টাকা খরচ হচ্ছে, 50 students এর জন্য 50,000 টাকা খরচ হচ্ছে. So since number of students increases, তখন কি হচ্ছে, the cost gets divided across a large scale. And that is why as we are producing more, আমাদের average fixed cost fall করেছে. So we are going to see a downward sloping average fixed cost like this. এই যে green line টা আছে, this is the average fixed cost, which is a downward sloping curve. However, if you look at the average variable cost and average total cost, both are U-shaped curves, just like the marginal cost curve. Reason টা কেন হচ্ছে? Because see, আমরা যখন শুরুর দিকে লেবার হায়ার করছি, we are hiring them at a cheaper cost. আর পরের দিকে যখন লেবার হায়ার করছি, hiring additional labor becomes more costly to us. So that is why the average variable cost আছে, দেখো average variable cost declines for a while, but then again starts increasing. That is why average total cost আমাদের average variable cost is a U-shape average variable cost. And যেহেতু average total cost is the sum of these two costs, এই জন্য average total cost কার্ভটাও U-shape average total cost curve. You simply put in the values from this table into the graph. That should give you all the cost line. আর এখানে আরেকটা জিনিস আছে, সেটা হচ্ছে এই যে output. Okay, so in your exam the level of output will be given, otherwise you won't be able to find out any of this. Okay, so labors দেয়া থাকবে, workers দেয়া থাকবে, output দেয়া থাকবে, and say per unit cost দেয়া থাকবে or fixed cost দেয়া থাকলো. So then you will be asked to find out the rest of the variables.
বুঝেছি মিস।
Okay. Now that we have seen both the cost and the product curve, remember আমাদের product curve গুলো ছিল এরকম. This was the average product marginal product curve, the red one. The purple one was the average product curve. We also saw into this lecture the marginal cost and the um, average cost curve. Now we are going to relate them together, okay, in one single parallel graph. So this is the graph where you can see, this is a very important topic, so pay attention. So this is the graph where you can see we have lined up both the average and marginal product cost, which is the marginal cost and average cost function. Now, the thing is, as you will see, first look at the average product curve, okay? So the purple line that is the average product curve. So as long as the average product increases, মানে your worker on an average are producing more. The money you are spending less on average because they are producing more. So বেশি যেহেতু produce করছে তোমার খরচ হচ্ছে কম. So that is why as long as the average product is increasing, the average variable cost curve reduces. As long as average product curve starts declining, it will increase the average variable cost because now on average your workers are losing on productivity, so you find it difficult and you find it more expensive to spend on workers. Likewise, marginal product, okay, as long as the marginal product is increasing, as you will see up until this point, the marginal cost curve is decreasing, right? So you're hiring additional workers, they are bringing you more products, so marginal cost decreases. After a while, when the marginal product starts declining, it's gradually going to increase the marginal cost because your extra workers are not good at all, and that is why you find it difficult and expensive to pay for additional workers. আরেকটা জিনিস আছে, সেটা হচ্ছে that is true for both of these cases. সেটা হচ্ছে, if you look at the first graph, the point of intersection, okay, so intersection এখানে হচ্ছে average product or marginal product. As you will see, as long as the marginal product increases, it also increases average product. Why is this? Because if marginal is greater than average, then average always increases. If marginal is less than the average, then the average product decreases. Likewise, as long as the marginal cost is lower than the average cost, both of them falls. As after a while, when the marginal cost is greater than the average variable cost, both of them starts
Increasing.
okay. So it's just like considering three friends. So if two friends have a CGPA of say 3.5, and if you add a third friend whose CGPA is say 3.8, right? So since the third friend's CGPA is 3.8 better than the average, adding the third friend's results with those two friends is actually going to increase the average, right? So as long as marginal is greater then the average increases. And the other way around is also true. As long as if the average is lower than the marginal, then adding the marginal actually reduces the average. Question আছে কারো?
No, ma'am.
আচ্ছা লাস্ট একটা টপিক করবো আজকের জন্য। আচ্ছা আজকে চ্যাপ্টার শেষ হবে না। We have to more topics to go. But আজকে লাস্ট একটা টপিক করবো সেটা হচ্ছে shapes in the cost. So এটা cost curve project যেগুলো দেখলাম এখানে all of the cost curves are mostly U-shaped cost curves. Now these cost curves can shift because of some reasons. So আমরা already দেখেছিলাম demand supply curve shifts because of the factors associated with them. Likewise, cost curves also shift because of some factors. একটা হতে পারে technology. So even if you are looking at the same number of layers, if there are better technology, so in this jumper practice, for example, there are new machines employed, okay? So that's automatically going to produce more, given the same number of labor. So তাহলে সেখানে কি হচ্ছে যেহেতু আমার total cost depends on the total output. যদি আমার output কমে যায়, which is on the denominator, that's also going to reduce my cost. But এখানে কস্টটা লেবারের কারণে চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে না, চেঞ্জটা কেন হচ্ছে because of technological advancement, and that is why এই যে আমাদের cost curve আছে that's gonna shift downward like this. Like this. The second factor is price of factors of production. So an increase in factor prices increases cost and shapes the cost curve. So if I go back, so এখানে আমাদের if you look at this table তাহলে ওয়ার্কারদের cost ছিল per unit cost ছিল 25, right? So if there is an increase in cost, so say 25 now, or if that is 30, তার মানে হচ্ছে আমাদের এই যে average variable cost আছে that's now gonna change. So যেহেতু output যেহেতু total variable cost হচ্ছে numerator, তার মানে হচ্ছে if total variable cost increases because of the increasing labor cost, that's automatically going to increase the average variable cost. So average variable cost increases, and likewise, age cost curve that's gonna go up. So average variable cost will shift upward. And since average variable cost is a plus of average total cost, so the average variable cost বেড়ে যায়, that's also going to increase the average total cost and shift it upwards. একটা জিনিস বোঝার আছে সেটা হচ্ছে cost যখন বেড়ে যাবে that's going to create an upward shift, আর cost যখন কমে যাবে that's going to create a downward shift. Okay, so in your exam you can be given a situation and বলা হতে পারে if there is a technological advancement, how do you think the cost curve changes. So your answer should be due to technological advancement, cost will always go down. So cost curve should shift downward. If there is an increase in the factor of production, mainly the labors, production becomes expensive, cost rises, and that's gonna shift the cost curves upward. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Question answer করো।
মিস কার্ভ শিফটটা একটু আরেকবার জাস্ট ছোট করে বলবেন?
Curve shifts করবে because of technological advancement and because of change in factor prices. So technology
Yes.
always occurs for the greater good, right? So
Yes.
technological advancement এর কারণে আমাদের always কি হচ্ছে, we will be able to produce more given the same number of labors. So
জি।
যেহেতু output বেড়ে যাবে, so আমার কস্টটা কমে যাবে,
কস্ট কমে যাবে।
same level of output, and that is why cost curve shifts downward.
Okay.
And for factor prices, if factor price rise, hiring worker is more expensive. That's
জি।
going to increase your total cost, subsequently increase your average variable cost. So curve will shift upward, both the average variable cost and the average total cost.
আর ফিক্সড কস্টও তো বাড়ার চান্স আছে, যেমন ওই যে রেন্ট অর
No,
সামথিং।
হ্যাঁ, যদি fixed cost, if there is a change in fixed cost only, যে rent হতে পারে, তাহলে fixed cost change হলে, the variable cost change না হলেও total cost change হবে, and if fixed cost increases, তাহলে total cost also increases, curve shifts up.
ওকে, ঠিক আছে মিস।
Downward. Okay, so we are done for today. আমার ছোট একটু মানে topic আছে, which we can finish in the next lecture, which is regarding the long run cost. Okay, so the next class করাই ফেলবো, and then we'll be done with this chapter. I'm going to take attendance now, and then I'll leave